when someone tells you that marriage is just a contract and stuff, it's like it's not a really big deal. Understand what that actually means. I guess mostly psychologically for a dude. See, when you degrade the concept, the institution of marriage, what happens is you eliminate the man's responsibility in being that woman's man, because they can break that contract anytime they want. It's not a really big deal. Infidelity or, doing some shenanigans, whatever on the side, it's just not a big deal. And why? What is that? What's the purpose in that? It's just to freaking get some new veg on, and you're freaking all good. It's like you do whatever you want, and there's no consequence to that. Well, that's not really what marriage is about. I mean, and if you understand what, and this is the thing is, I didn't know what it meant to covenant with a woman. I didn't know what that freaking meant, dude. Like, that's a weird concept. But then when you understand like what masculinity and femininity actually is and how that operates in a marriage, it's like, oh, wait a minute, okay, I get that. This is actually a man dying for a woman respecting and loving her man. It's like, oh, okay, I get that. Because there's a purpose in that for each person who's involved, and how that works to really carry on the relationship and propel it forward so it becomes a legacy of its own. Well, in marriage, when a man says, I'm quitting all other vaginas out there, and I'm sorry, I speak freaking straight, dude, so it is what it is. If it offends you, well, get a Band-Aid. Well, when you pick that one vagina, that's it. And so that's where the real test happens, okay? Because the way that, and this is what's so sad about our culture right now, is that there's so much blatant sexuality out there, and of course it's always been there, no matter what culture you're living in. But I'm just going to address our culture, American culture, from the porn to you can go anywhere. I mean, the strip clubs and stuff like that. Y'all know, if you knew me for a long time, you knew what I was all about. I mean, I was shenanigans and freaking personified, dude. and that was a whole nother thing for me to get through. But there was a deal there where understanding what it meant to be a man meant that I had to take my sword out. I mean, literally like a sword out, and fight that part of me. So you think about it, okay? So like, let's say like I had a aspect of my personality that was all about the strippers, all about the party, all about the drugs, because it was about the drugs, all about the girls and all that stuff. And I basically had to let this one aspect of me slay me. Okay, I just slay stripper Dave, slay party Dave, slay sex Dave, slay drug Dave. I had to fight those fights, okay? Now, as a man, owning those things, that means that I never stop fighting those things, ever. My sword's always freaking out, dude. And you don't even know, man, like, the greatest adventure you'll ever have, first off, will always be coming to God, and then understanding that the greatest mystery ever existed is God. God is the one that was before anything was even such as existence. So he's always existed. So understanding that's the greatest mystery, but the greatest adventure a man will ever go on is actually marriage, because that is not about the person that you're with, really. I mean, some aspects of it really are, but it's really taming the different aspects that man has been up until that point of marriage. And that means that you come to grips with who you were before you met your wife, who you were in the private time when you're by yourself, who you are when you get upset or angry. And that sword comes out, and you got to freaking fight. And the journey in that, what my wife calls the slaying of dragons, men don't know how many dragons we actually have until we actually face them in this covenant of marriage. And that's why sometimes it's difficult, because it's hard for a man to rise up when they just don't know how to get through those things, get through the jungle of our own issues. And when we're not able to get to that jungle, even have support, even have another dude say, yo, man, like, this is what you're facing right now. I get it. I've been there. This is how I got through it. This is the kind of sword I use. This is what this is how I freaking fought my dragon, dude. And this is what it looks like. And yeah, you're not going to always get it right. You're not. But what you are going to do is, if you dedicate yourself to taking that journey, man, you'll really become who you were created to be. But that takes dying to yourself and establishing yourself first off with a woman who's healthy. And most, man, if you only go for the looks in a woman, you're asking for trouble, dude, because crazy freaking lives in all types of women, no matter what they look like. You know, I'm just being real with you. And women, there's freaking crazy out there in dudes. You know that freaking for real. You got to be, very discerning about that. But I'm speaking straight to guys. If you're not willing to take that chance on a woman who not only is physically beautiful, but you have to discern who they are on the inside by going beyond what the exterior, so that you're not just drawn into the eyelashes or the hair or the curves and all that stuff, because that'll be its own dragon to slay, and that'll be a dragon outside of you that you'll have no means of getting a victory. You just won't. I'm just being real with you. You will not have a means of getting a victory, because that person that you're with has to slay their own dragons on their own. And if they're not willing to do that, you're just gonna be fighting a battle every day, and that's just not fun. But just in regards to you as a guy, you have to own all of your dragons. You got to own all of the you inside of you that need to be brought under being into being tamed. And I told you before, masculinity is really tamed chaos. Because at any point in time, those dragons they'll gain size upon you, and all of a sudden you're fighting those things all over again. So you have to be, you're tamed chaos no matter what you do. And that's, I think, is what the beauty of really being a man and being created a man really is. And there's a beauty in being created as a woman as well. But like I said, I'm just talking to dudes right now. Being created a man means that you understand what it means to fight and to have victory, to fail and to get back up again, and to really decide and to determine upon yourself, with God's help, hey, I'm gonna get through this. I know I'm gonna get wounded. I'm gonna freaking take those licks, dude. You ever get punched in the face? You ever been punched in the face before as a guy, man? You need to go do some KMSD or something, or Krav Maga, or get into some type of martial arts or something, just so you know what it feels like. Because I mean, it's not a joke. When you get punched in the face, everything gets real at that moment in time. Somebody puts you into a submissive hold, it gets real, okay? And you want to be in training doing that, not in a freaking real life situation where somebody submits you. That wouldn't be a good thing. But you have to be able to submit your aspects of yourself that need to be tamed, the chaos within you, and pull out your sword and to fight those dragons so that you become the man that you need to be for that woman. Because it's not just it's all those fairy tales about Prince Charming and all that. These are all characteristics of masculinity and femininity that really, have been turned into something really weird right now. But this is really what it means to fight the dragons and to slay them and to become the man. But if you're not willing to do that, you never will be. And you'll always be looking over your shoulder like, man, I could have been. And that's what's so sad about so many men, is that there's so many men out there that could have been, but they never were. They never were willing to take the journey. And that's what marriage actually does. That's what actually having a committed relationship does, is it makes you turn on yourself to become a better self that God created you to be. Because all the sin and stuff, that stuff all gets freaking turned out the moment that you get married, because you're fighting it from that moment that you say I do, and you commit, you put that ring on, you're fighting it. Believe me, I'm going to tell you another time about temptation, but you got to understand yourself first and really want to say to yourself, I'm willing to take out this sword to fight for that woman, because in that I get to rise up and become who it is that I was supposed to be. The hero in that journey is who I'm supposed to be.